I think one of the biggest surprises for people who successfully lose weight is that eventually they stop thinking about weight loss so much. And it's not because they're caring, not because they've given up, but because life starts getting a little bigger than the scale. Like, it's beyond that little square on the floor. And honestly, that's really important. It's a really important transition because at some point, the goal stops being weight loss. The goal becomes living well. When people first come to us, they're usually focused on a number, a weight, a clothing size, or a goal they've been chasing for years. And that's completely understandable, but I've noticed something over the year. The conversations, between when they start and 6 months after, they're usually different. See, at that point, somewhere in between that, people start discovering that the knees start to ache less, the patients are able to play with the kids on the floor and get up without issues, so better mobility. They stopped obsessing over every meal. And not everyone says, Evelyn, I'm so happy because I lost 32.4 pounds, though some do. Don't get me wrong, I've seen it, and that's okay, it's good. But most people tell us how their life they go from, holy cow, this is the effect that losing 32.4 pounds looks like. The longer someone is successful, the more their goals evolve, right? They now want to feel more energy. They want to be able to keep up with the kids. They want to travel more. Although they may not say it outright, but they want to stay independent as they get older. I mean, it's a reality. You're getting older, I'm getting older. I'm not getting younger unless you're Benjamin Button, but that's neither here nor there. But those are different goals, right? From the beginning to the end of the weight loss journey. And so, we think about what is aging in weight loss and maintenance going to look like at 40s, at 50s, at 60. It's going to look different, right? At 40, you may still be trying to lose postpartum weight. At 60, you're looking at being able to move comfortably from the chair to, the counter. It really depends, right? And at some point, successful maintenance becomes less about losing more weight and more about protecting what you've gained. Your health, your confidence, your mobility, your energy, right? And that, I've seen it, it's one of those things that I noticed over the last almost 10 years. People who continue chasing lower and lower weights, to me, that's not necessarily a bad thing, but it does point us to the fact that more education needs to be given to that specific person. And that's going to be talking about what their goals are, and body composition analysis. It's crucial to understand where you are versus where you want to be, and whether where you want to be truly aligns with what your body is telling you that you need to do. So a lot of questions get asked, a lot of introspection gets put as a homework assignment, if you will, because doing, chasing a lower and lower weight versus working on maintaining, they look very different. And our goal is to educate and be able to help patients get to, have long-term health, right? And that is going to be being able to maintain the weight that you've lost. And that can look a little different. So this is where food starts to change. Instead of asking, how little can I eat to lose weight? People start asking, how do I support my body? Yes, it's good to lose weight, but then also, how am I going to keep up my energy, my strength? How am I going to recover properly? And how am I going to enjoy myself, right? And that last one, oof. We can overindulge sometimes. However, eating less is not the answer. Successful maintainers aren't trying to win a starvation contest, let's be honest. They're trying to enjoy themselves while having, and just enjoying themselves, right? Point blank, that's it. And that may involve eating a little more of this or that, or trying different things, whatever that may look like. And when it comes to food, restriction, it's not always a key. And that's true, think about it. It's whether somebody is on a weight loss medication or not, food is still going to be food. You still need it. Your body still responds to patterns, not one meal, not one vacation, not one holiday, patterns over time, right? And one reason that this is exciting, or being in the weight loss industry nowadays, even though there's a lot of information, a lot of debate, but the conversation around weight loss is starting to go more there's more research being done for it. We're looking at metabolic health, there's inflammation, the microbiome, healthy aging, and longevity. You know, this is where being me, right? I'm Evelyn. Hello. Hi. Let me use some context. So one of the reasons this is exciting is because when I first started helping people lose weight, it was all about low carb, low fat, zero sugar. I understood why, but it was frustrating because I saw patients losing some weight and then stalling, not being able to keep up, and or gaining the weight back. And so that prompted me to look more into it, start looking as to why. What can these patients do? Why is this happening? And that led me to look at things like microbiome, the probiotics, how are we eating, exercise, how things are affected. And I quickly realized that I was not the only one seeking answers. There are many doctors, scientists, and researchers asking these same questions and looking into these topics. And I mean, we gotta admit it, aging healthy in a strong way looks very different than what we're used to seeing. Now, this led me to ask a question, and I think about this often. What does success look like at 70? Right? I don't think it's a number on the scale. You know, I picture it as traveling, walking comfortably, remaining independent, having energy, playing with the grandkids, you know, being able to actually, I've had patients who were happily horseback riding, right? They were able to continue those things. Visualizing, for me personally, is how I do it. I picture myself as a very healthy, strong 70-year-old being able to lift weights, keeping up with the kids, grandkids, and doing all the things. Why not? You know? And if you're at a point where you're starting to realize that weight loss is not the only goal, you're probably starting to ask the right question, because maintenance is not the end. It's the beginning of building a healthier future. That's exactly what we help people do, not just lose weight, but to create routines that support long-term health, energy, and quality of life. Because let's face it, we want to live well, right? At least I do. If you'd like help with that, please schedule a consultation below. There's never any charge to talk with one of us, all right? Because at some point, the most meaningful victories are measured by the scale alone only, right? They're measured by how you feel, how you move, how you live, and whether you've built a life that supports the future you want.